And as we mentioned earlier in the beginning of the breakfast show, we'll be talking about a very important topic, Egypt hosting the African Cup of Nations 2019. To shed more on this very important topic, we're very much delighted to have with us Dr. Viken Djizmedjian, the former member of FIFA and the Egyptian Football Association. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doctor. So first of all, let's shed the light on the importance of Egypt holding the African Nations Cup.
Well, the African Nations Cup in itself is a very important occasion. It's a very important football event which is watched worldwide. It has many advantages for the host country. Besides being an excellent tool for advertising about Egypt, its touristic sites, its capabilities in hosting major events, it's also a very good occasion to motivate the people to watch very highly technical football games, because African football is on the rise, and it's a superb occasion for football fans to watch such an important event. So football-wise, it's important, and also it's important advertisement-wise, and also it's good for the infrastructure of the country to shed the light on its significance, on its capabilities, and to be exposed worldwide, because it's not just a local event or a continental event, it's a worldwide event. And TV stations and media all the time will be speaking about Egypt 2019 as an African Cup of Nations, and it will be all over the media and the world. So it's a very important event for Egypt.
Yes. In Egypt has a very wide range and huge population that are very passionate about football, but so many wonder what led to the decision to Egypt hosting the African Cup of Nations 2019.
Well, Egypt was not in the picture in the beginning. It was Cameroon which was supposed to host the event, but now that the tournament is with 24 teams and not 16 teams like in the past, and the preparations were going quite slowly in Cameroon because it's a huge event. You need six venues, 6 stadiums, plus training fields, hotel infrastructure. So it's a big event. So the organizing committee of CAF, the African Football Confederation, saw that Cameroon was not prepared. I mean, the event is getting closer, and still the work is not being done. So they opened the bid once again. And they went they asked Morocco, because it was the second country which lost to Cameroon in the bidding process. But Morocco said no, they couldn't organize it, or they said it's not the time. So they opened the bid once again, and Egypt put its bid, as well as South Africa. But as South Africa had organized it in 2013, it was obvious that Egypt was going to get the organization, because
it did before?
2013 was quite close. It was 6 years ago. But South Africa has lots of capabilities and has good stadiums as well. But the choice was Egypt was favorite, because this is the 5th time, of course, but our bid was quite interesting, and the way it was presented, and I saw the presentation, it was quite attractive to the people who voted for Egypt. I mean, Egypt won the bid, the organization, by 16 votes to 1 to South Africa.
Wow.
Out of 17 people who voted, 16 voted in favor of Egypt.
So as you mentioned, arrangements and cooperation, well, of course, talking about this important event taking place in Egypt, it has also another advantage, talking about the fans back to the stadiums. And I think this is one of the most important, actually, things that one can talk about, because, you know, Egyptians are very much fond of football. And of course, as you mentioned, everyone is going to follow. So how do you see this as breaking the ice of the idea of going back to stadiums?
Well, it has to come, it had to come down to this, because it's not possible that a country such as Egypt, since 2012, spectators are not allowed to go to the stadium in full capacity. But the country and the government and the head of the state, so that there is no reason to keep the situation as it is, with all the possibilities, the security measures, with the cooperation of all people involved in this, we can overcome it. Because like we saw in 2006, last time when the Cup of Nations was held in Egypt, the spectators were on a all the stadiums were full, and the people, the quality of the people who went and saw the matches was excellent, and the income was quite good from the tickets as well, from the sales of tickets. So it's going to be an excellent occasion. 24 teams, 6 stadiums, people who are fond of football. It's a very good occasion. The most important thing is to organize well how they're going to buy these tickets. Now we have electronic means, because this was a problem in 2006. Now it's going to be a challenge for us as well to introduce new methods, because now we are forced to go like everywhere else in the world when you can book your tickets online, and they're working on it now. Once the organizing committee is going to be formed in the next couple of days, I think these things are going to be all settled.
Actually, 2006 marked the beginning of women and girls going to attend the matches in the stadium, because before that they didn't go for cultural reasons, but that was the beginning of women and girls, so many of them.
So many people, yes. Exactly, and because the tickets, also the prices of the tickets were a bit high, and because that's the way it is in all over the world. To go to a concert or to a football match, it's quite expensive, and it's only in Egypt or in Africa that the tickets are so low. But in northern African countries, in South Africa, it's not like this. The prices are expensive. Of course, this comes on the expense of people who cannot afford it, but in any way, there were means also for them to get the tickets through the clubs, reduced tickets, subsidized tickets. But the important thing is that you have to gain from this tournament, because you're going to spend so much in improving your stadium, because it's not just a football match on the pitch. There's a lot going on around. Media centers, fan zones, and all this demand money and expenditure. So by doing tickets a bit higher than normal, I think it's a way out, because organizing a Nations Cup, it's quite expensive.
Yes.
Right. Of course, talking also about this championship, I will be back to the idea of tourism, because definitely this is one of the most challenging domains.
Yes.
I think also worldwide, not only in Egypt, in Europe as well. So talking about this again, and how far can we take benefit? How can we work? I know this will attract the attention. Definitely we have the international media coverage, but how can we work on this and take benefit out of this?
The Ministry of Tourism has a great work to do in this, because, as I said, it's a very important occasion, and apart from the media people who are going to come to cover international news agencies and so on, fans are going to come. And the important thing is to give them package tours, attractive package tours, so that they come watch the match, enjoy sightseeing in a good hotel. So packaging or organizing packaged travels and holidays in Egypt during the Cup of Nations is a very important challenge, because there are many people who would like to mix football and pleasure. Egypt is a touristic country. It has many attractions. So someone who was thinking of going to Egypt just to watch the pyramids, and who is fond of football, who loves football, will take his family and go watch the matches at the same time. Because this is how it goes. When we had the World Cup in Russia, and everybody went there, just watched the matches, plus did some sightseeing. Exactly. So this is a good occasion, because already a big amount of people will come. So you can increase this with attractive package tours, and doing lots of advertisements about that the Cup of Nations being done in Egypt. You can buy advertisement slots in programs in newspapers. And the Ministry of Tourism with touristic agencies, they can organize this and work together, so that you have packages. And it's not just in Cairo. We're going to have in Ismailia, Suez, Port Said, Alexandria. So all these places can be included in this
also
package.
Of historical and tourism
of course,
sites.
Yes. So it's a very important thing. They have to work from now on. Because it's for a World Cup, for example. 1 year before the World Cup, travel agencies start to work on it, and they think about packages, contact people, they start advertisement, so that it's something to gain from this, and also to help people, encourage them to come to Egypt. So it's a very important thing, and I find it an excellent occasion. And usually during Nations Cup or a Cup of Nations, the number of tourists to this host country increased by 200%. That's a known fact, and it's a known figures. So this is a very good thing, and
especially the timing, because it marks the beginning of summer, where the weather is somehow
exactly.
good.
It's in summer. It's from the 15th of June to the 13th of July. So this is a very important. It's a period of holidays, and people can come and watch the matches.
Okay. Dr. Viken, important events like that require the cooperation of the whole country. I mean, here we're talking not only about the role of the government with all its institutions and agencies, but also the civil society, the private sector, volunteers. Tell me more about that.
Well, this is the role of the organizing country, of the organizing committee, which is not yet to be formed. That's why I hope that the organizing committee be formed of members who are like it was in 2006, of members who are not necessarily from the Egyptian FA. So we have some very good young people who are organization-wise are very good. And this will depend on the success of the African Nations Cup.
Talked about the benefits of Egypt's organizing the African Cup of Nations 2019. We talked about, among such benefits, boosting tourism, for example, the financial revenue or the economic benefits by selling the tickets, the social benefits with involving the volunteers into this event and making them more into football. What other benefits could be provided by such events?
It's the motivation, it's the motivation of the whole nation around something specific for a certain period of time. I mean, during this 1 month, it's not just tourism which is activated, the social, it's also politics which is activated, because also politicians will come and see the matches. It's going to create also a market for the players, because like we say, scouts will come from outside to see who are the good players. It's a very good occasion for Egyptian players to excel and show their talent so that they can be recruited in European. It's a huge market during the Nations Cup. Everybody will benefit from it. Politics-wise, sports-wise, tourism-wise, social-wise, media, I mean, programs about the Cup of Nations, everything will be focused on this 1 month, and everybody will benefit from it. So it's a huge occasion, and with all the efforts, it will be a great event, hopefully.
I can call it also, when it comes to football, as a soft power. Because the football, just as you mentioned, it is a common language, regardless of the language, regardless of the culture or nationality. So, talking about Africa in particular, and what is this message that is delivered out of this? As you mentioned, African countries, they all voted to Egypt. The capability of Egypt now, when it comes to African countries, talking on all domains. How do you see this? How do you read it?
Well, the role of Egypt is very known in Africa. Egypt was one of the 4 countries which founded the African Football Confederation, and it's always been a pioneer in this, not just in sports. As I said, in the African football, it was a pioneer and it was one of the founding members, but also Egypt supported independence movement. So Egypt has a certain image. When you go to when I was working with the African Football Confederation, and I visited most of the African countries, when you say that you're from Egypt, it's something special, because they know that it's a big country and it has a huge impact on all African countries. So this is continental-wise. It's also an occasion to show to the world what Africa is capable of, Egypt and Africa, because always the image in Europe, in the Americas and elsewhere, is that Egypt, is that Africa is not a continent where you can organize events, where you can do something on high standard, but Egypt can, for sure it can. So it reflects Egypt's capabilities, and it reflects African capabilities as well, because the tournament will take an African air. It's when we start watching the tournament, you'll see all the things related to this tournament will have an African theme. I mean, even the logo, it's an African event. And also the African Football Confederation asks from the host countries that when it organizes slots or anything about this tournament, to put something African in it, so that people will watch that this is Africa organizing it. So it's a very good occasion for Egypt to show, to represent Africa, and who else better than Egypt to represent Africa? I think it's one of the strongest now economical countries in the continent. Sports wise, it's also one of the pioneers, and it's a very good time to show what we're capable of.
Okay. Well, Dr. Viken Djizmedjian, former member of the FIFA and the Egyptian Football Association, thank you very much, sir, for being with us in the breakfast show today and for shedding light on the importance of Egypt's hosting the African Cup of Nations 2019. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be right back to resume this morning's edition of the breakfast show right after a short break.